What's up guys, I'm Random Frank P. Today we're going to be checking out the new Corsair Gaming K55 RGB keyboard. And this comes in at an extremely budget-friendly price point of just $49.99. However, right now this keyboard's kind of mysterious, and I'll tell you why. I just showed this off in my Top Tech Under 50 video for December, and it got a ton of great feedback and was received very well from you viewers out there. But what's kind of strange is I bought this around 2 weeks ago from Corsair.com. But when you go there now, it says coming soon. So I'm not too sure what's up with that. I probably got sent it early as like an oversight. Either way, I'll put the listing to this from Corsair and Amazon in the description down below so you can keep up to date on its availability. But either way, this thing is awesome. You're getting a ton of great features just for a very cheap price of only 50 bucks. And it's gonna definitely hit home for people out there who want to get into the PC gaming community, or if you don't want to spend a lot of money on a gaming keyboard. In this review, we'll talk about the switches, go over its features, do a sound test for you guys, some pros and cons, all in my review of the Corsair Gaming K55 RGB keyboard. So first off, as you can see, it looks very similar to something like the Corsair Strafe keyboard that came out last year. On the left side of the keyboard, we actually have 6 dedicated macro keys. This is something extremely rare for a $50 keyboard, but the macros are going to be great for like mobile players or photo or video editors. You can set certain functions or keys all to these macros. There is its own macro record button, so you don't need any software, which is a big plus. And also on the top right hand side of the keyboard, you have dedicated media keys. You have 3 for volume plus 4 for playback. As for the internal stuff, we do have anti-ghosting plus 8 key rollover. So if you smash your face onto the keyboard, only 8 keys will register. Wouldn't recommend it. Flipping the keyboard over, we do have 4 rubber pads so it doesn't scratch your desktop surface, plus 2 feet to elevate its backside. And speaking of ergonomics, we also have an included detachable wrist rest. It isn't magnetic or anything, it does snap into place on the bottom of the keyboard. It has this knurled-like texture on it. It is a nice addition, and I'll talk about it more at the end. This keyboard overall is extremely lightweight due to its plastic construction, and while I'm someone who would obviously like a little bit more sturdiness in the keyboard, you can't complain for only 50 bucks. Now the main reason this keyboard is so cheap is due to the switches they use, or lack thereof. The K55 has membrane switches. This means technically this is not a mechanical keyboard since there is no key switch, and the membrane keys were used on past keyboards from Corsair like its Raptor lineup. And when you take a look at it, there's really not much going on under the key. You do have the RGB light embedded deep inside, and it's gonna shine through the white surface underneath all the keys. And this white backplate's gonna do a lot, mainly for the RGB lights, because the RGB lights are gonna shine up and through that, and once it reflects back onto the white surface, it's gonna make it appear more saturated and bright. Definitely gonna add more visual pop to the keyboard. And these membrane switches are the complete opposite from anything mechanical related in every way, shape, or form. It doesn't look like them, doesn't sound like them, and it doesn't feel like them. But this keyboard is not made to replace something like my Corsair Gaming K70 keyboard. This is made for somebody who is obviously on a budget, because $50 is a great price tag. And it's also made for somebody who, I guess, is trying to find a new keyboard if they are just getting into the whole PC gaming community. Someone out there who's been using a K70 before is not gonna really wanna switch to this. It's not gonna feel right, obviously. Now I'll do a sound test for you guys because everybody loves keyboard sound tests. I'll do one for the K55 so you could hear how these membrane switches sound, and also do it compared to a regular mechanical keyboard. So as you heard, these sound almost how they feel when typing or gaming. There is no tactile bump, it is just linear in the sense that you're just pressing it and it's kind of mushy. But again, for someone out there who's looking just for a gaming keyboard, it's gonna be, I think, just fine for them. Now we're gonna take a look at the RGB lights. And I mentioned earlier, there's actually no software for this keyboard, which is a bonus because you don't need to have anything already downloaded for it to work. You plug it in and it's good to go. This keyboard features a 3-zone RGB backlighting, which is also going to come with 12 pre-configured lighting modes. So you're not necessarily going to be able to take advantage of all these 16.8 million colors like you would in their other keyboards, but again, for the price, what they give you already is rather impressive. Pressing function 1 is going to enable the first preset mode, which is zone 1 being red, zone 2 being green, and zone 3 being blue. Function 2 is going to be yellow, cyan, and purple. Function 3 is blue, cyan, and red. Function 4 is purple, green, and yellow. Function 5 is orange, purple, and cyan. And function 6 is green, blue, and white. Now function 7 by default is turned off. This is going to let you kind of create your own 3-zone lighting. When you press function F1, you can go through and cycle whatever color you want for that particular zone. So this is where you can go in and kind of make your own lighting effect where it's just going to be the colors that you pick. You can pick from the red, green, blue, yellow, cyan, purple, orange, or white. Function 8 is going to let you cycle through all the same color on all 3 zones. Function 9 is going to pulse on all 3 zones, so the colors are going to pulse in and then out. Function 10 is going to be a color shift where it's going to shift from the red to green to blue to yellow. Function minus is going to be pulsing the 3-zone lighting. So pretty much it's going to go through your function 1 through function 6 lighting effects. And then function equal to is going to be the rainbow lighting effect. And the rainbow does a pretty good job of emulating the colors accurately and fluidly. So for $50, I am a huge fan of this keyboard. You're getting a lot of awesome features, the RGB lights, all for a price point of $49.99. And I have to go ahead and applaud Corsair for making a gaming keyboard like this and being extremely fair with what they charge. So great job on that. Then when you look at something like the Razer Ornata, which just came out, that keyboard has half the features this does, is also not mechanical, and is twice the price as this at $100. So again, awesome job with the K55. And if you want to see me do a dedicated comparison video of the K55 versus the Razer Ornata, let me know down below because I'm thinking about doing it. And also, yes, with this price, you're going to be getting some setbacks. I'll talk about the cons now. First is going to be the detachable wrist rest. And while it's optional, you don't need to use it, I'm not a fan of it because it's slightly hard. It's not, soft or rubberized or anything. And I do not like that knurled texture. It would not feel comfortable using this for a long period of time with the texture they used here. Second is gonna be, I kind of alluded to it before and it's obvious with this keyboard, is the membrane switches. Again, I know you can't put mechanical switches for this price with the features, but I did want to point it out that it is still not a mechanical keyboard and it is sort of a con for me. And the last con is gonna be with those RGB lights. And while you don't need software, you can change it all on the fly, that's great. But when you put it on the rainbow wave setting, since it doesn't utilize the 16.8 million color RGB LEDs like the other keyboards do, when you're on the rainbow wave and you're not at its fastest speed setting, it does kind of lag and stutter when it's changing the lights. I usually just leave it on the fastest rainbow wave setting so it looks really nice and cool. But again, if you have it on a slower setting, it's going to visually lag when it's shifting between color to color. So again, I think I've mentioned it numerous times throughout this video. It's just a really great keyboard for the price. There is no denying that, which is probably gonna put this atop of a lot of people's Christmas list for this year, whenever it comes out. So I'm not too sure when they're gonna fully release it to the public. But again, check the description down below because I'll have the Corsair listing as well as the Amazon listing so you can hop on this when it comes out, because I have a feeling this is going to sell out very, very quickly. A great gaming keyboard for $49.99. That'll do it for my review of the Corsair Gaming K55 RGB keyboard. If you like this video, let me know by hitting that thumbs up button down below. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at RandomFrankP. And lastly, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Well, I'm Random Frank P. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.